Hello, my name is Bilal Wahbi, and today I will be discussing the Business 215 case study concerning Tala and Bank A through the decision-making framework in order to get the best ethical decision possible out of it. So first of all, let's start with the first step concerning some of the facts that we have. First of all, Tala is a risk management associate at Bank A, and she's been working there for about 5 years. Tala now is getting paid well, and she's supporting her family as she's the only child that they have. Moreover, at work, Tala reports to a manager, Hassan, who reports to the general manager, that is Tony. Tony has entered the bank recently. He have waited for some changes, however, they haven't happened yet. So Tala suspects that Hassan, her manager, is doing something that is not totally legal. And so basically, she's been suspecting his mismanagement of the bank. Moreover, Tala has been pushed recently to get loans, to sign loans for Hassan for about $2 million against her will. So with these facts, we move to the ethical issues that we have. First of all, we have nepotism. And nepotism is clearly available with Hassan, who's using his power in order to force Tala to do what he thinks is right. Obligation and unfulfillment is something that we can see with Tony, who promised the changes, however, he haven't started with them yet. Well, because he thinks that he's going to move to another bank, and this is the ethical issue here. And finally, we have discrimination, in which Hassan is preferring people from his own identity, from Algeria, over other people, even though the other people might be more suitable for the loan that they're getting. We move on to the stakeholders involved in this case. And we can divide these stakeholders into two sectors. First, we have the primary, and second of all, we have the secondary. When we talk about the primary, we have Tala, Hassan, and Bank A shareholders. And by Bank A shareholders, we mean the bank's ability to produce money and the reputation that it has. We move on to the secondary, and in the secondary stakeholders, we have Tala's family as being supported by Tala, and Tala being the only child that they have. We have also Tony, the general manager of the bank, as he might be leaving to another bank. And the Bank A employees as the bank's reputation in case it happened or anything changes in that, they might be affected and their work might be jeopardized. With that, we move on to the alternatives that we have for taking a decision. First of all, Tala might be accepting the offer and signing the document as Hassan's will and moving on with her job and getting paid and supporting her family. We can go for reporting the issue and quitting the job. So going for the extreme of it, in which Tala refuses to sign and just steps out of her position and gets another job in another bank to support her family again. Or she can try to reach a common decision with both Hassan and Tony, confronting them both for their actions and try to reach a solution that will keep her in her job as well as focusing on their work in the bank. So with these alternatives, we need to evaluate them. And so we need to evaluate these alternatives. And in order to do so, we need to consider three different philosophers. So let's start with Aristotle. And Aristotle is a person that believes in the value of ethics. And in alternative A, Tala will be signing the papers and moving on with her job. That's totally unethical. Aristotle would totally decline. We need to consider alternative B, in which Tala doesn't sign, which is ethical. However, she will be leaving her job, which is a bit extreme, so Aristotle would be a bit indifferent in that. However, in alternative C, in which she will try to reach a mutual decision and staying in her job to support her family financially, that's a lot of value and a lot of ethics in one decision. And so Aristotle will be totally supportive. That's when it comes to Aristotle. Now, when it comes to Kant, we need to consider that Kant is a person that believes in the laws and orders. And so in alternative A, Tala will be signing papers illegally, which Kant would totally refuse. In alternative B, Tala will be leaving her job in order not to sign these papers. So basically, Kant will be totally supportive of that. And in alternative C, Tala will also be trying to reach a mutual legal decision. However, she will be silencing herself about what happened before. So I guess Kant will be a bit indifferent with more tendency to reject it. So when we consider Mill, finally, we need to consider that Mill is a person that believes in consequences. And so in alternative A, when Tala signs these papers, we need to consider that Tala will be able to support her family financially. However, she might get into legal problems afterwards if this problem escalates. And so Mill will be indifferent between the two. And so when we consider alternative B, Mill might be a bit more concerned with that because she will not be financially stable and she will not be able to support her family. And finally, in terms of alternative C, Mill will be supportive because she will be able to support her family financially and continuing her job legally, which goes without with the least consequences. And so let's reach the decision, and I believe that decision C, or alternative C, is the best decision. And the reasons for that is that the bank's service credibility will increase, and basically it's supported by the three philosophers that we spoke before. It holds values, it's legal, and it has the least consequences. So the banks will have a better credibility. Tala shall explain her concerns, and finally Tala will resume her job and be able to support her family financially as a person, and so we should go for that. So in that sense, we need to keep an eye on the outcomes of this decision, and most importantly, Hassan's reaction, because Hassan's reaction might identify Tala's future prospects in this bank. Moving on, we need to consider also the changes in policy within the bank when it comes to reporting illegal issues. And so this might have an impact, as an example that happened in the first sense, which is something that Tala should consider and should wait for as the outcomes in order for future things not to happen. With these outcomes, I finalize my case study. Thank you for listening, and choose the alternative C.